Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, man, this does not work. Let's get open for business and let's wake up the football gods. Wake up there, guys. And of course, now I've actually added a new god in here, Tom Landry. Thank you, Zeppelin fan. We put a video out from Collectors World who came through. They did an incredible job. It's got me rethinking a lot of the stuff that I have here in my man cave. I'm sitting there looking at how I mounted things and all that, and it's kind of like, yeah, maybe you ought to get the professionals because that truly is a centerpiece. I'm thinking I'm going to take Roger Staubach jersey that's autographed in the picture I have of Roger Staubach in the Joe Boo jersey and get them to do a collection of that and do something with like all my Dak stuff. It really just done an incredible job. So thank you very much, Damon. I appreciate that. So here it is. It's Wednesday, and we got great news today because Amari Cooper practiced today. We're talking about practice, not a game, not a game. We're talking about practice. And I bet you guys are like, and? Well, here's the thing. Amari Cooper usually has not been able to practice on Wednesdays. It's usually later in the week, if at all. The fact that he is on the practice field is unbelievable. And one thing that you have to actually look at with the Cowboys, for the most part, we've had the nagging injuries like everybody. But with the exception of Tyrone Crawford, right now Jeff Heath's a little nicked up, we haven't lost players for the whole season. And for the most part, we're actually pretty healthy, which goes a long way if you're talking about peaking and trying to make a run. Sometimes it's not about getting any better, it's about not getting any worse. Because you lose a few players here and there, all of a sudden it changes the dynamic of the team. And we've had a few hits. We lost Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins and things like that. Some time. We lost Connor Williams, but believe it or not, after having surgery just 2 weeks ago, he's back in practice. But I think I got it now. I know what's wrong with Zeke. Apparently, Zeke's been eating a little too much there. Looking a little bit pudgy there, and that might be why he doesn't quite have the burst. Maybe he should try through the holes. Okay, it's not Zeke. That's Joe Looney doing his best Zeke impersonation. But all things, okay, we got jokes, okay? But here's an interesting quote from Zeke Elliott today because Zeke said, even though his role has diminished, that's what a good teammate does. You guys kind of make me feel awkward, like I'm supposed to be pissed because I had 40 yards and we won a football game. I don't know. I don't really want to get into this anymore. Well, here's the thing. Here's where you actually should be happy. Understand that Zeke Elliott has had two of his worst games in his career. We won one, and we came close to winning the other. The fact that we could actually do something without Zeke is amazing itself because what we were always told is the Dallas Cowboys are a one-man show with Zeke Elliott. And right now you should feel good that, if Zeke's not on his game, we're okay. But here's the amazing thing about this. I want you to think about this because, I try to research. I try and help you think a little bit more than what you get from the mindless chatter that you get from some of these talking shows. Because, they've told you that, Dak Prescott, they shut down Zeke. You can't win. Okay, well, Dak Prescott has elevated his game. They told you that his ceiling was down here when it seems like the sky is the limit. And here's the thing that I want you to understand. You know how many times in the history of the Super Bowl that the rushing champ ended up winning the Super Bowl? 5. Terrell Davis twice, and Emmitt Smith 3 times. That's it. You know how many times the New England Patriots have had the NFL's leading rusher or anywhere close to it? I'll wait, and I'll keep waiting, and I'll wait some more. But here's the amazing thing about this. Think about last year. Zeke Elliott had a great year, out of doubt. But you know where our team actually was in rushing the football last year? We were 10th. You know where the Super Bowl champions were last year as far as running the football? 8th. They rushed the football for over 200 yards more than the Cowboys did last year without having a top flight running back. See, understand, it's not that the Cowboys are the only team running the football. They're one of the few teams that are running it with just one guy. Most teams do running back by committee. And here's the way you have to start looking at this, because you have Zeke Elliott, who has been, your battering ram. Now you got a quick strike guy and Tony Pollard. And the fact that the Cowboys have been only using Zeke Elliott for about 19, 20 carries a game, do you honestly believe that Zeke Elliott is going to stay down there at that level? I don't. I think Zeke Elliott's going to get back to eating, especially with feeling bad about where he was the last 2 weeks. And understand, this team has evolved. It's more than just a running team now. Zeke Elliott isn't the only exceptional athlete on the field. You actually got, I call him Nirvana right now. That's my wide receiver core. And that is Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb, and Michael Gallup. That group of guys are making fits for defenses. And here's where it can be really, really good. You end up using Tony Pollard more, who gives you a different dynamic, okay? You saw him with the direct snap. You saw him outside and being able to make that cut and everything else. It will give defensive coordinators nightmares because they don't know where it's coming from. Also, if Zeke Elliott is not being pounded into the ground, like Todd Gurley, who is now a shell of himself just 2 years after signing the big contract, you keep him ready to rock and roll for playoffs. That's right, I'm talking about playoffs. If you can have a healthy, rested Zeke Elliott going to the playoffs, and let me give you one other example too. Right now, when you look at the Rams, C.J. Anderson, he didn't have that many yards for them during the regular season because he signed late, but he became an important cog when Todd Gurley started having the problems with his knee. And when you looked at what they were able to do in the playoffs against us, between C.J. and Todd Gurley, they rushed for over 200. Jared Goff didn't have to do. And Todd Gurley doesn't have C.J. Anderson, and Todd Gurley is not Todd Gurley very often. You see how that offense has suffered. You see how Jared Goff has suffered. So, in the end, I believe that it's actually a good thing that it happened with Zeke. Because if Zeke had been chugging along, got 100 yards against Minnesota, and we lost, and then we came in against the Lions, and we got 100 yards and snuck by, what we would continue to do is the same thing we had been doing all along is, okay, we just got to run Zeke Elliott. It's the only formula we have to win. But because we hit rock bottom against Minnesota and we weren't able to run the football effectively, it caused us to change what we were doing. And it taught us that we can do more than just run the ball up the middle. And in the grand scheme of things, that loss against Minnesota, as much as it hurts, as nice as it would have been to have had another game cushion, to be leading Minnesota, in the end, it may end up being that it becomes a better thing for us in the long run. Because now, if Zeke Elliott's not getting it, you throw in Tony Pollard more. And if that's not working, you've got a passing game. And if you can come out first couple of downs, start throwing the football, making first downs, and make teams have to double Amari Cooper or Michael Gallup, then you come back with the running game and Zeke Elliott, you break a team's back. So don't worry about Zeke. He hasn't been eating too much. And it's going to be okay because I would rather have Zeke Elliott ready to rock and roll come the end of the season and playoffs more than a game against the Lions. Just relax, Cowboy fans. We got the pieces, and I believe we have the focus for New England. And you start hearing guys like Jason Witten, who's sitting there talking about this being a defining game. You realize that everybody is all hands on deck, that everybody is laser focused on this game, that this could be a franchise changing game that finally launches this team. And we've been needing that for a long time. I know New England has won 17 straight regular season games at home. To me, that says they're due for a loss. Checking the long range weather forecast, it looks like it's going to rain, but the temperatures now are going to be about in the mid 40s. So, not the best of conditions, but hey, it beats being about 20 and snowy. But we'll see, and we'll keep checking as time goes on. I'm Mark Holmes, my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and you are now up to speed with all that is the Dallas Cowboys. I'll see you soon.